think it is possible. It seems like Portland is trying to move off some contracts and be able to clear up some cap room. So I think one of the reasons that they're discussing moving that number 23 pick is so that they don't have to pay a guaranteed salary to a late first-round player. So it wouldn't surprise me if Portland moved that pick to a team like Philadelphia for 2 second-round contracts. Second-round deals obviously don't have guaranteed money. Teams can negotiate with players and give them some guaranteed cash, but they don't have to fall into the rookie scale contract. So it makes a lot of sense for Portland. And then for a team like Philadelphia, moving those 2 second-round picks, if they like someone at 23 and they want to move up, it certainly makes sense for them as well. So I think it's possible. Nothing is imminent, but Philadelphia has been having talks with Portland and a number of other teams in that range to try to move up. So it definitely seems like Philadelphia is trying to be active, and they would like to acquire another first-round pick somewhere in that range.
Yeah, last year they had a plethora of second-round picks, Alex. They didn't end up moving back, but now they have 5 more this year. It's almost inconceivable that they could fit 6 more guys on their roster. So is it almost inconceivable that they wouldn't move up into the first round again?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. They really don't have room for all of those kind of second-round picks. And you can take flyers on guys and then see who makes the cut in training camp. Or, sometimes we see teams that have, a bunch of second-round picks draft international players and then stash them overseas for a year or two and let them play out their career over there for a while they develop. Obviously, that's what Philadelphia is doing with Dario Saric, who they picked last year. But it's interesting, Sam Hinkie has really set this team up to have a ton of draft picks. I just recently tweeted this. Next year, if everything goes their way, let's say they win the lottery and all of their draft picks that they're owed end up, going to the Sixers, they could have the first pick, the 4th pick, the 11th pick, and the 16th pick in the first round next year. So we're talking about a team that not only has stockpiled second-round picks, but first-round picks as well. So they just have a ton of assets. I think that it's going to be really interesting to see how they use them. Maybe they trade some of them. Maybe they draft some guys to stash overseas. But it's certainly always better to have a ton of draft picks than not many at all.
And the Sixers stacked in this draft with 6 picks. That leads the NBA. There was some talk earlier, Alex, in the week that Philadelphia and Boston had made them an offer that included Marcus Smart, 2 of their picks, for Nerlens Noel, and 3. People in this area kind of laughed it off. But is there something there between Philly and Boston potentially, especially if Okafor slips?
Well, I think if Okafor slips, it does become very interesting. There was some talk that the Celtics are seriously considering moving Marcus Smart, that they would do it if it allowed them to move up and get a high lottery pick. I think initially people weren't sure how credible those rumors are, but Mark Stein of ESPN did confirm them that Boston is putting Marcus Smart out there, and they're saying that he could be had for a high lottery pick. So I do think that those rumors are out there and it's possible. But I think the more likely scenario is that we see Philadelphia stay at number 3 and draft DAngelo Russell. When they traded away Michael Carter-Williams, it was because they didn't feel like he was a long-term answer at point guard. They didn't believe he could be a superstar point guard. They liked his game. They thought he was pretty good, but they felt like they could find someone better. And I think DAngelo Russell is that guy. Obviously, we've seen in the past that Sam Hinkie is someone that, drafts the best player available, and there's times where, he makes the unconventional move, but I think DAngelo Russell would be the best guy available at number 3. I can't see the Lakers passing on Okafor, so I think it goes Towns, Okafor, and then at number 3, you get a player that fits the Sixers' needs and a guy that's the best talent available. So I think Russell at 3, it makes the most sense.
Alex Kennedy, BasketballInsiders.com. Draft tonight, 97.3 ESPN's coverage at 7. A lot of people looking at Russell as the guy. I haven't heard Moutier connected to the Sixers all that much. What is the separation between those two guys?
Well, Russell's done a very good job in workouts, and he played very well during his lone collegiate season at Ohio State, whereas Moutier, he struggled in some workouts a bit, and I think there are just more question marks around him because he did go play in China, and there isn't as much of a sample size and game film on him he also had an injury in China that limited him to about 18 games. So there isn't nearly as much game film of him as there is Russell. So I think teams look at Russell as more of the sure thing, whereas, Mudiay could be a very good player, but there are definitely more questions about him. I think also their style of play is very different. Russell is the guy that's a very well-rounded player. He can score the ball, but he's also a traditional point guard. He makes his teammates better. He has NBA size, and there's been some talk that he could play off the ball even and spend some minutes at the 2 potentially. Whereas Mudiay, he's more of a scoring point guard. His decision-making has been criticized a bit, and his shot isn't where it needs to be. So it's going to be interesting to see where Mudiay goes. Honestly, his range is pretty tough to predict. There was talk he could go number 4 to New York, but now, you're hearing he could slip all the way down to number 7 to the Nuggets, which is interesting. That's lower than a lot of people had him entering this process. So Mudiay, I think he could be a good point guard, but I don't think there's any question that Russell is the safer pick and has more upside.
Alex, you mentioned Marcus Smart and that Boston is putting him out there. And, of course, we mentioned that they called Philadelphia potentially, and offered him in a deal for Noel. There's a report that says that they are ready to offer a monster package. But does Marcus Smart fit for Philadelphia? Is he a guy that if he's included – because I'm looking at Boston's roster and wondering – monster package, what the heck do they have that would equate to a monster package that would push the pile to move number 3 for Philly? That's what I mean. Is Smart a good fit, and is he enough to make Philly get out of 3?
Well, I don't think he's enough, but I think one of the interesting things that Boston can do is they have so many first-round picks, and obviously, as we just mentioned, Sam Hinkie loves first-round picks. So Boston, from their deals that they made when they traded away Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett and some of their other trades, they have a huge stockpile of first-round picks. So that's where it could become interesting. They could possibly offer Marcus Smart. They have some other young players like Jared Sullinger and Kelly Olynyk. They have Avery Bradley. They have some young assets there that are interesting. And I think Marcus Smart still has value. A lot of teams around the NBA do like Marcus Smart, and they feel like he has a lot of potential. He struggled at times throughout his rookie year, and he battled some injuries, but he's still a very good player. He has NBA size. He's physical. He's a good defensive point guard. Obviously, he needs to keep developing, and he's still pretty raw. But I do think that he could be a very good point guard down the road. But I think there would definitely have to be other things included in that kind of trade in order to move up. Marcus Smart, first-round picks, and maybe some more young players as well. It wouldn't surprise me if they made a similar offer to the Knicks either. I've heard that New York isn't really sure what to do at number 4. They haven't fallen in love with anyone. They're considering Mudiay, Willie Cauley-Stein, Kristaps Porzingis, Justice Winslow. They're looking at a ton of different guys there, and it may make sense to trade down and look at that Celtics offer if you're the Knicks too.
Alex Kennedy, BasketballInsiders.com. Draft is tonight. Let me ask you, there were some comments made about agents not wanting the Sixers to draft their players. Do you feel that that's something that could be accurate? Are people out there leery of playing for Philadelphia? Do agents not want their clients drafted by the Sixers?
I haven't heard that. I think a lot of agents look at the Sixers as a great landing place because you're going to get to play right away and you're going to be showcased. I think people saw what happened with Michael Carter-Williams, where he gets drafted, he's a starter from day one, and he ends up being Rookie of the Year. So agents, obviously, they want to put their players in situations where they can thrive and make the most money. So being able to go to a team like Philadelphia where you can play big minutes, you're going to get a lot of touches, and your stats look good, it actually is a pretty attractive situation. The only agents I could see that wouldn't want their player going to the Sixers would be an agent for a big man like Jahlil Okafor. Obviously, they already have a pretty stacked front court, so that's where there could be some questions about the guy's minutes and playing time and if it's the right situation. But I think if you're a point guard, an agent for a point guard, you definitely want your player going there. The only other thing is that there are some big markets surrounding the Sixers. That's where things get kind of tough. I do know that agents would love to have their players go to the Lakers or the Knicks because those are huge markets. There's tons of endorsement opportunities. There's definitely an attraction to those big markets. So maybe that's part of it. Maybe they would like to have their players go there. But I don't think the Sixers are a bad situation by any means. And I think a lot of agents realize that their players can put up great stats there.
All right, at 2, Okafor. Towns at 1, Okafor most likely 2, Sixers at 3. Russell seems like the guy. If it's not Russell, who would be the next choice for Philly if Russell is the guy? It's there, but they pass on him, and Okafor and Towns are gone.
Well, I think the only other guy that could be the option for Philly at number 3, if it's not Russell, is Kristaps Porzingis. There were rumors that Sam Hinkie persuaded Porzingis to stay in the draft, and that they told him to stay in the draft, that they've been scouting him for a very long time. There were rumors around his pro day in Las Vegas that the Sixers came away very impressed, and they like his versatility. Again, it would seem somewhat strange because they already have a lot of front court players. They have Nerlens Noel, Joel Embiid. They have Dario Saric coming over at some point here in the future. So going with Porzingis, who's a 7-foot power forward, would seem strange. But if they do feel like he's a better player than Russell, maybe Hinkie goes the best player available route and drafts him. Really, what Hinkie's doing right now is collecting assets. He's trying to get as many talented players as he can, as many first-round picks as he can, and then he's kind of seeing where the roster goes from there and who they can build around. So if he really loves Porzingis' game and feels like he has superstar potential, like some people around the league do, it's possible he's the guy. But I just feel like Russell is a safer pick, and it makes more sense from a roster standpoint.
Alex Kennedy, NBA on Twitter as Basketball Insiders for more on all the rumors. Try to make sense of them all and hold out for a couple more hours because that's when you'll find out who's telling the truth here. Alex, always appreciate it, man. Thanks for the time.
Thanks a lot. Take care.